session of the conference. So we are going to be talking about HR strategies for a future-ready MRO workforce. And as aviation fleets expand and maintenance technologies evolve, the need for skilled engineers, technicians, and aviation professionals has become more critical than ever. Building a resilient workforce requires not only technical training but also leadership development, digital skill integration, and long-term talent retention strategies. This session will explore how industry leaders are addressing the global shortage of skilled maintenance professionals while preparing the next generation of aviation talent.
And it is indeed our privilege and pleasure to invite up on stage for this discussion our illustrious panelists. To moderate this discussion, we have amongst us Mr. Sebastien Pleines. Let's give him a nice warm round of applause and welcome him up to the stage. Welcome, sir. And our moderator, Mr. Sebastien, will also greet our panelists who will join in, and we're looking forward to some compelling discussions. We have present here in our midst Marshal, RKS, Shera, PVSM, AVSM, BSM, former AOC-in-C maintenance commander, Dinesh. A warm welcome to you, sir. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Dinesh, Bohra, CEO, GMR, Aero Technic. Let's give him a nice warm round of applause and welcome him. We'd also like to welcome Nalini Naidu, Head of Human Resource, Safran. Welcome, Nalini. Let's have a nice warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome Professor Shakti, Shakti, Vishwavidyalay. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to welcome Maheshwar, Chief Consulting Engineer, GE Aerospace, India. Warm welcome to you, sir. And we'd like to welcome Rohan, Shirude, Co-founder and CEO, Telos, Aerospace. Welcome to you, sir. I request our panelists to kindly take your seats, please, as the order we have. And I invite Mr. Sebastien to kindly take this session forward.
All right. I think. Yep. All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Warm welcome also from my side. Very honored to moderate this session with this esteemed panelist. I mean, I guess we have way over 100 years of aviation experience here on stage, and it's really impressive and interesting to talk about the future MRO workforce to be ready. And yeah, we would like to just directly jump into the session. And as we are 6 people, I would kindly ask you to answer questions and have a discussion in a concise way so that we have a fruitful discussion here. I would like to talk firstly about the Indian military HR workforce in cooperation with the civil aviation. And there I would like to ask Air Marshal Shera, you see that there's a big increase in the military aircraft as well as civil aircraft. How do you see the facilitation between the military technicians and the civilian technicians? And do you see any competition in the future? How do we cope with this in the future?
Good afternoon. So once again, the same session which I always participate in. That's the HR challenges, you can call it, or workforce challenges, the workforce shortages, the skill development, all this inclusive. So let me give you the perspective of the Air Force as far as HR is concerned. And we have huge challenges in the maintenance of our fleets. And I always say that our major challenges have been right from the beginning. The mix of fleets, we fly many types of aircraft of different origins, be it Russian, be it German, French, be it UK, British, American. It is one of our big challenges how to adapt our technology, how to prepare our technicians to handle such a variety of aircraft. Parallelly, let's say if you have an airline which flies, they fly either Boeing class or the Airbus class. But here in Indian Air Force, we have such a variety that it's a really tough job for us to adapt to the technologies of different OEMs and bring them down to our requirements. The second challenge which we always face is the topology of the country. We operate from south to north, east to west, temperatures plus 50 to minus 50. From zero, our requirement of the east to west, we are from zero humidity to 100% humidity rainforest. So it's a big challenge to get these machines ready for all these kind of operations. Where we don't know where we're going to land, so we adapt ourselves in such a way that even if I land at day, I should be able to restart the aircraft and come back to the planes. So that's another challenge. And all these challenges I'm talking about is as to how difficult it would be for any organization to create the workforce which can handle this kind of issues. And of course, we fly the machines much beyond their life specified. The specified life may be 20 years, but we fly them for 60 years. Example is the MiG-21, which we just phased out. We have flown it for 60 years. It's mind-boggling for many people to understand as to how Indian Air Force could manage this machine for 60 years without any support from the OEM. It's once again the HR. We always have paid special attention to our skill development, our basic training, our thereafter on-job training, strike training, and retaining the expertise in that particular fleet. So I'm just giving this perspective so that it clarifies the doubts in our mind that workforce cannot be created. We will be always short of workforce. No. If we can plan, if we can train them, if we can make sure that they are put on the right job, you will never find shortage as far as the workforce is concerned. But it calls for forecasting, how many you require. If the fleet is expanding, I have to think today, what is my requirement after 2 years, after 4 years, after 10 years or so. So this is primarily I'm talking about that. And at times, we have ended up in the problem of our capacity constraint. We have found some good solutions. We have started part-tasking our overhauls, the part of our overhauls of the fighters, transport, engines, everywhere. We are part-tasking them. We are giving them to the industry where they come and do almost 40% of our job in the overhauling. So we have to find some good mechanisms so that if there is a shortage, if there is a crunch of workforce, how do I overcome that? So these are the examples which I'm giving you just for understanding as to what is the Indian Air Force perspective. How come it has happened that we have never sent our aeroplane out of the skies of India for overhauling abroad? It's a big thing, it's a big statement I'm making. It has never happened that I had to send my MiG-29 outside or the Sukhoi outside to Russia for doing the overhaul. We have made sure that the day an aircraft is inducted, we have planned the complete MRO, the line maintenance, the base maintenance, the overhaul, the rectifications, upgrades even. Every 10 years we have been upgrading our machines. So this is all the forecasting which we have done. So it's quite interesting. It's all possible. In fact, the civil aviation has to also understand a lot of things can be done that way. And I'm very happy, in fact, things are moving in the similar directions. So as far as the utilization of the HR which is going out of the Indian Air Force, or for that matter from the Army, Navy, and as well as the Coast Guard. So I would say all the defense expertise which is going out can be definitely utilized by the civil MROs, provided we give them a bit of training which is required to convert them and to make them the experts in the civil aircraft. As such, they have experience, there's no problem. There's some amount of certification somewhere required, and this is another area where I was talking to, I've called in fact the DGR, Directorate of Resettlement, DG Resettlement. So our Air Force relevant officer is here today, and I've explained to him as to how the mechanism is to be made. We know in this year, in this financial year, how many technicians are going to retire? Maybe about 4,000. So what I need the DGR to do is that give this input to the MRO industry. So you have GMR, you have got AESL, you have got Tata, you have got Indigo coming up with the MRO, you have got Nalini MRO started. So what should happen is they should have MOU with all these companies so that you give that, okay, this year I have got 1,000 technicians who are going to come out, there are so many instruments, electrical, engine, etc. And they should thereafter tell you how many I need. And then the whole mechanism starts. Then the issue of training them, we can go ahead for the pre-release courses of those boys. They can be sent to Gati, as I was talking about Gati, Shakti, Vishwavidyalay. They can train them, initial training, and thereafter they are absorbed in the civil market. And then the issue comes of the certification. There also we are looking into it, how the DGCA can ease out on that, so that the Car 66 is taken care of and we give them the certification. These are the few issues which I would definitely want. And of course, Agnivees, 75% technicians will come out. They can be utilized by the civil MRO people, so that's not an issue. And one more point which I'm going to make it is, we are having a program of apprentice trainees. So we churn out every year about 1,000 odd apprentice trainees who come out from the Air Force. Those can be also tapped, they can be utilized. Similarly, MTVs coming out can be utilized. And the issue of the certification is where, fortunately, the last 2-3 years I have been talking about it, but this year I have a hope that there is going to be a handshake soon happening, and the DGCA will come on board and it will ease out the process of certification. So with that, I think you can make use of the huge expertise which is every year coming out from the services. So that's my take on as far as the utilization or the reintroduction of those people are concerned. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much for your thoughts, and this is, I think, a good bridge to our next topic of the topic of certification. Because I mean, it will always take some time to certificate the mechanics that are qualified for the job, etc. So here I would like to ask Nalini, how do you see any opportunity or any chance to accelerate it and to get more people qualified faster without compromising safety or anything?
So Sebastien, with that, we have gone directly to the heart of the problem, which is of getting people from campuses or from outside and getting them job ready. Challenging as it may be, but a lot of our industry players have cracked that very well. Campuses have built programs which make them future ready. We have strong academia and corporate partnerships which are possible to ensure that their journey, or the students don't start their journey once they join us, but they are already on the path to become job ready while they are in their schools. We have collaborations with the other industry players as well, running training schools. That's a possibility. I think Air Marshal Shera sir already mentioned about a large pool of people being available from the defense services and who can be converted into job ready personnel very quickly with our internal programs. But a large piece also comes from working closely with the regulatory bodies who define the certifications or the mechanisms of certifications, working closely with them to develop these programs. Safran has pioneered a competency-based training process, which ensures that very quickly people can be trained on the required skill sets. So these are various things that industry players along with academia and the regulatory bodies can work on and reduce that gap in the industry for qualified and certified staff.
All right, thank you. Yeah, maybe we can have an open discussion on this topic a little bit. Do you, or the whole group, do you see any technical features like augmented reality goggles, etc., to fasten accelerating this educational way even more? Maybe if someone wants to jump in.
No, it's okay. The way of education is also changing. When it comes to the certifying staff, there is a mandatory requirement of certain number of classes or certain number of theoretical trainings and then on-job training. But the method of teaching has been definitely changing. So, for example, if you look at our school, we have a Airbus simulator, maintenance simulator, which is bringing the hands-on training to the people. So, before the students go to the aircraft, they have a kind of, they are not afraid of what are the parts, how it is. So theory, but before getting to on-job training, I think students are now getting a lot of experience on these simulators. We have something called as a system simulators. So what we have done, we have deconstructed the complete aircraft and created different modules so that various aircraft parts can be under one system module and they can study the complete functional operations of that particular model of aircraft. So these kind of methods are changing. There is also a good possibility, the IRBR to play roles, and we are working on these kind of models to see that students can be looked at. So I would say yes, there are methodology of trainings are changing, but then basic requirement of number of hours of studying the academics and the on-job training does remain the same. What we can expect that with the help of digital tools, the quality of education of these new students is definitely going to improve a lot compared to what it used to be years ago.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe someone else? Any additional comment?
So
go ahead, Rohan.
So as Air Marshal said that if basically defense aircrafts can be done in India, why can't the commercial planes be done in India? Which is a very valid point. So to address to that, what we have been very closely working upon is we have some great talent from the defense sector who are training the college students or the graduates. So we also not just take the AMEs, but we should actually do some cross-industry utilization of the candidates. Say, for example, automotive people are really fascinated towards the aerospace world. So these SMEs who come from the defense aircraft, again the commercial planes, like AISL is one of the largest Indian facilities. So we have some very experienced people from there who are giving the training. So it's a blend of the traditional one and the blend of the digital one. And that's how we can, if we kind of bridge this gap, we can definitely create a very larger talent. As we all are aware, India has the youngest talent pool in the world compared to the East-West. We should really leverage that through these kind of systems.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Professor Kaushik, I think this is a good.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Professor Kaushik Das. In my earlier avatar, I was in the Indian Air Force for 30 plus years, having seen the side of aviation, and now in a HR panel, I think it makes a lot of sense for me, who is now currently representing Gati, Shakti, Vishwavidyalay, the central university, who is actually mandated to be the focal point to create the pipeline for the sort of industry skill needs that everybody is talking about. Now, we have been speaking to the industry all these while,
and we have now. I want the whole audience out here to see that the perspective of this university is not the way you look at a media and academia. All the people who are sitting in this panel have actually added to the way we progress and how do we design and curate the course. When we design and curate the course, we have realized what is the gap that we have. The best part of the news is that we have an autonomous power to actually give a sort of certification or a certificate which is much needed in the industry, which is also compliant maybe in days to come with the DGCA 626 and the YASA certifications. So I think great strides are being done in this particular area. We already have tie-up with GMR and Safran and also the others in the line. So what we are saying is, we then become a sort of focal point to create this pipeline both ways. When we say we pick up the regular students from the 12th and they go into a BTech which comes to JE and others, but we are trying to make them industry ready by the time they go by the 4th year in engineers. So how do we do that? Purely by an academic discourse it will not happen. So we are reaching out to the industry counterparts for them, like now he talked about his simulators, he talked about the others. So now he's actually knowing what is to be expected the day he goes out. That's the 4th year. Similarly, that's for the aircraft maintenance engineers. What about the technicians on the other hand? So we are also realizing that just by a 4-year degree is not maybe enough. So can we create a multiple entry, multiple exit stream? A 1-year certificate, a 2-year diploma, a 3-year Bachelor of Science. So by the time the industry now is having a degree as well as a licensing angle. But that's not enough. What Shera has been saying, sir has been my CC and I know his vision. We are now trying to look at talking to DGCA very, very soon to see that the pipeline of DGR gets open to us and the huge amount of experience in terms of hours or years are converted into a delta so that the equivalence of a DGA certification comes. These people through a bridge are able to get their qualifications, get ready for the industry. So that part is also being taken care of. And I think if these are taken care of, we now create a pipeline indigenously inside India, which helps the industry, which also helps the academia to actually focus on what everybody needs. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe a short question in between. As we are facing this big shortage of technicians, how do we, or do you see any one of you, the future collaboration between robotics and the human workforce so that there is some kind of relief through additional robots helping in the daily business?
Okay. You see, while for whatever little experience I have in Indian Air Force and now here, I have been a practitioner of ERP implementation and also the artificial intelligence stories. It is not that easy as it sounds, but what is interesting is that we are not talking about replacing the technicians with robots, right? We are talking about they being beside us, the cobot story that we talk about. But if I look at the skilling story, there is a problem with the whole technical aspects because today now have a lot of technology which a aviation maintenance practitioner needs to know. You see, he's bombarded with data of maybe vibration or maybe pressure or huge amount of data which the sensor network is pushing. At the same time, you're talking about digital twins, so a lot of data is coming from the ERP, from the supply chain also. You also have maybe autonomous inspection machines which are also pushing in a lot of data. In addition, you have a whole of other things. Now you're flooded with the data. That data, to make sense out of it, then you will require only data scientists, not possible. So the data scientists may be in the back end. The new generation aircraft maintenance engineers and technicians should be able to make sense out of it and use those tools. So that's where they need to be mindful. So what we are trying to do in the curriculum itself is to that you only do not learn the theory of machine learning. If you have to do clustering, if you have to do anomaly detection, or if you need to see what is the residual life left for this particular machine, then you should be able to use the tools in the proper way and then use an agentic overhead over that The agentic AI can be an Aladdin's giraffe for you to ask and do deep analysis and give it back. But if we are able to train them in these 4 years, like we talked about the simulation and the others, you are now making them ready to understand these tools, which are very, very detailed and very, very complex in that.
All right. Any additional remarks to that, maybe?
There are practices. As I said, we can't replace the technicians, but what is happening when we look at the workforce, what we are trying to do that the technician or engineer is at aircraft, and rest all other is definitely helping him or her to do the work efficiently. Many areas are there, as I said. Inspection is one of the areas where there is automation happening nowadays. The supply chain, the material delivery, sorting out those things. I think these are other activities which are being replaced by the robots. When you finish your work, cross-checking of your activities versus what you have mentioned, I think that has been now there is a lot of automation happening in these areas. So there is a lot of assistance happening to the technicians and AMEs by way of automation, robotics, and various other techniques.
Relieving the administrative work on the technicians, so they can concentrate. Yeah.
They can concentrate on the core work, and rest on non-efficient thing or non-productive things can relate to the machines.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Maybe that's also a good point to change to the cultural aspect of the work. Dr. Uba, maybe you can give us an insight on what do you think has to change, how the people have to adapt to the new reality of working together with AI, with robotics, and the new requirements.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think we are in a very critical inflection point as a country. If you look at, we have a huge market. We are going to be the third largest aviation market. We have a huge, young force. Yet, we are really bringing at a huge scarcity of the skilled manpower. How can it be? So I would think it this way. There is an advantage of being first in many aspects. But I would also see that there is also an advantage of being the latest, if not late. So that is what I wanted to actually talk about briefly. So the transformation that I see is on three things. One, the mindset. The second transformation is on the digital, and the third one is on the cultural side. If we have to be not just a country which caters to whether it is the indigenous manufacturing or the MRO, that I think is really undervaluing the human capital that we can have for the rest of the world. We need to really think, reimagine the future of aviation and the future of MRO. The first and foremost is, I think, on the mindset, right? We think that the MRO job is more of like a technician, manual labor. Can we actually change that, the way people look at, even the way we look at this job, from being a task to actually a purpose? The purpose of actually creating these magical machines called aircraft. If we can instill that pride to be in aviation and really bring that purpose, I think that self-motivated workforce can do many things. They can, this Gen Z, the next generation, if they are brought to the purpose, they can go and learn any skill that is needed. So first transformation is the mindset transformation. We really need that ecosystem, not only the ecosystem, the culture, the mindset of aviation in our country. That I see is a huge gap. The second one is digital transformation. How nice it would be when these younger generation actually uses a lot of these digital technologies, which can actually give competitive advantage to any company which is into MRO. Whether it is AR, VR, digital twins, blockchain, cobots, robots, whatever you see, there's a huge productivity, and at the same time, the human minds are being used in the way they should be used, not on creating a lot of fatigue. So the digital transformation is a huge advantage for our country because we have a lot of young people who are really hungry to learn. And third one is on the cultural transformation. I think there's a huge opportunity for us as a country which has a lot of bureaucracy, hierarchy. I see a lot of changes though, but I think it's really putting the human safety first, the psychological safety of employees. The safety management system which is integrated with all the processes, and then empowering every employee. That's what the younger generation wants. We need to have that culture of safety, the culture of product safety, the culture of flight safety. I think if we have these transformation, I think then we can emerge as the go-to destination for MRO, not only MRO, for aviation, the future aviation needs for rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional thought to the cultural change from the audience here? Yeah, maybe from the military aspect.
Talking about the military aspect, I'm just talking about another way of handling the shortages or whatever we are saying of skilled manpower. To my mind, another way of getting more workforce industry ready is three-step method of grooming the people. So I always say that if my particular MR owns up few of the ITIs where we do the basic training, which is after 10 plus 2, a lot of boys they go to the ITI. We have got three steps in fact in engineering in India. We have got ITI, we have got Polytechnic who produce the diploma holders, and we have got the engineering colleges. So as far as the AMT is concerned, which I differentiate in fact the AME and AMT. AME is the engineer, for me AMT is the maintenance technicians. Therefore we have a clear demarcation of the engineers and the technicians. Similarly in the civil aviation we should be talking about AME and the AMT. So I'm talking about how do I get more and more AMTs, churn them out faster. One way is after 10 plus 2, I have put the people in the ITI. Those ITIs are linked with the MRO. MRO tells that, okay, I need the structure people, I need the welders, I need the instrument, I need ABC. So those curriculums are run by the ITI as per the requirement of the MRO. And thereafter, those boys are inducted immediately as the apprentice training. So they start earning some money. And thereafter, you induct them for the AME school. And then you have got AMTs. What I'm saying is that by this grooming, those boys, those children will have the real orientation towards the aircraft. And retention of those youngsters will be much easier for me because they would have developed some passion for the aircraft. So this is another way of building up our skilled manpower in the country. So ITI, apprentice training, and thereafter AME. You got AME schools, from there they go into the AME schools. So this is how it can be one of the ways to take care of our workforce if we require. As far as the other methods are concerned, of course the curriculum must have all these new components, that is the digital component, the AI component, or do they make use of the predictive tools, or do they make use of the AI tool. So some flavor can be given to them as per the requirement. Not that I'm going to teach all this stuff to the ITI boy. So that will be a curriculum in the AME when he comes to that stage. And definitely we need to teach them all these things so that they are industry ready. But this is a mechanism which can be followed. By the way, Air Force is following that. We have an apprentice training program. Those boys, after staying 2 years with us, they go out, they get into the MRO works. So we indirectly enhance the skill of them. The same thing can be adopted by various MRO houses of the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe another aspect here when we're talking about generating new workforce. Dinesh, maybe from an MO perspective, what do you see, or do you see any necessity for the government for institutional changes or any incentives for the companies to invest more in they have set purpose that they need the workforce, but nevertheless, should the institutions support that?
So, very transparently, I will say that in the last 3 years things have changed. Have they reached the what we wish for? progress. If you look at the workforce in MRO, there are three distinct type of resources. One is the certification staff, which is the type trained people. Second is the skilled people, like NDT, structural repairs, painters, vendors, the hands-on skills. And third is the other staff, which is like planning, project management, procurement, technical services. So let's differentiate these three people and then the support required in three different areas. I think the first one on the certification side, there are a lot of efforts being done, and one of the biggest initiatives which we are trying to push, we are requesting DGCA, and we see a kind of favorable response is on the. Today there are two certification streams in India. One is the B1 and B2 mechanical and avionics, while YASA does allow to have a combined course, which is another one thing which we are requesting, and I think there is a committee evaluating this, and I'm looking forward for a favorable outcome. What this means that when there is one aircraft for maintenance, today I need to deploy two different kind of engineers. With this possibility, you will remove this requirement. It's a kind of multi-skilling. That's one area which is going to come up. Multi-skilling, better utilization of the resources what we have. And there are a few more changes which are happening in this curriculum. Maybe cross-certification will be another area which is coming up. The capping of the people, that's another area we are talking with the authorities, and I see the favorable response coming. There are committees which are by DGCA and they are asking the feedbacks and it's happening. Second stream is on the technician side, and I think I can take this, sir, where at least in our case in GMR, we have tied up with ITIs, where we take the people from ITI, give them a specific training on painting, and they become painters. We take the people from ITI, give them a specific training on the electrical side, and they are the people who become the electricians or wire harness. We take the people from diploma holders, give them a specific program to make them structural engineers or structural technicians. So that's the another area which is there is support which is happening. Third area which is about the other stuff like procurement, planning, project management. So here we are tying up with the universities, and now we have tied up with one university, and in the third year and fourth year of curriculum, there is an optional subject about MRO. And these people, by the time they become engineer, they will have some exposure to aviation, aircrafts, MRO concepts. So when you take them in the planning or procurement or technical services, they are putting with some other areas. Another big support, as I said, is the Gati Shakti. So we just signed about with the Gati Shakti to develop a program where this AME, along with their certification, they can also get the degree. It's not only for the degree purpose, but it's also within the bit of gap which is there between only aircraft maintenance course and the typical engineering course. So I think this is another area, and they have been quite supportive. They have come up with a program where they will help us to give our students at our school with the either certificate or diploma or degree based on credit points, and these changes are coming. So I think there is a support from them. As an industry, we also need to take some steps. We are taking, but still, is it enough? It's a work in progress, and probably the last area where we need a support from government is, I already spoke, how to convert the Agniveer as well as other staff coming from the defense to the civil ready workforce. So that area is again, the discussion is happening, the related people are here who are taking up, and I'm hopeful that probably next year we discuss the same topic. There are 2 more initiatives which are already there.
Good, yeah.
Can I just add, just a compliment what you said is, when this journey, there's always a journey in trying to fine-tune the existing things, because the academic curriculum is more broad-based. To say the least that an aviation engineer may not necessarily only go to MRO, he can go into a design engineering or he can go to the other part. Now, if you really see, a young guy who is entering the field may sometimes decide in the mid of his course, okay, I don't want to do MRO or I want to do an MRO. So now we have to find a balance while we design the course to see that, okay, there will be also an escape route, otherwise it becomes too straight challenge. But what happened, the best part of our discussions with the industry, GMR and others all who have actually gone because Safran, is that we could get the right balance to curate the course. And while we do so, we realize that this is what perhaps is a right balance between academic rigor and relevance in the industry. So once we have done this, I think roadmap was very clear by the time we went to DGCA and they were sitting across that what is being read in the CAR 66, the equivalent English has to come into the course and not that it is only theoretical and that's it. So if that opens up, even the defense industry, the defense people who are coming out, be it Agnivy, be it technicians and engineers, that bridging also is happening, and I am sure I think things are going to get exciting.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's was a lot of discussion about what can we do internally in India to promote more technicians and to improve the education. But maybe to fill the gap, short or long term, there's also the possibility to have some global talent retention. And so maybe Rohan, you can give us a short overview of your perspective on this option.
Yeah, of course, the talent retention has been a big challenge for every industry. And aviation, as we all know, has been growing. There is a big challenge there. So from a retention perspective, there are what we talk about as the Gen Zs is the key word that's roaming around in the world. So if we can have the technology and what the requirement is, if we can bridge the gap between that by using the Gen Zs, it's going to help definitely retain a lot of talent, I feel. Culture, as we already spoke about. So once we improve the culture, retention is going to, of course, be a help. And then second thing is, the last thing I would say is when the process of any company changes, right from getting the person in-house in the company and then grooming him, telling him what is the way forward for you, what is your career map, how does your career look like in the company, what is your growth path. You are just not an employee, but you are, so you need to be an entrepreneur by yourself. You need to run what is given to you. You need to run the show. You need to shoulder the responsibilities. I think that feeling of owning a business for any engineer to a manager helps them staying back in the company. I think that's if a company is able to give that feeling to any individual, it is very, very helpful and definitely motivating to an employee.
All right, thank you very much for your view. Maybe additional question: Do we see any option or possibility? I mean, we are in the vicinity of the Middle East, which is really attractive to engineers and technicians, high paid. Do we have any approach how to keep our workforce within India?
Of course, given the current situation that is there, I think safety is first, and given that people will like to stay in India, but that's just for the current situation. Second is, as I said, India has the youngest talent available globally. That's because of the education system that's there. People will like to stay along with their families. They want to be in the country. They know that India is becoming one of the largest aviation sectors. Every state is promoting, OEMs are coming up, MROs are setting up. So keep that feeling of safety, feeling of a good career path will definitely have people stay back in the country. And if we can leverage the cross-industry culture, that will also help retain a lot of talent and not move people from India to the Middle East or the West as well.
Yeah, maybe 1 second, Nalini, sorry.
So just to add to Rohan's point, global competition is here to stay. There's no going around it. There was a time when we used to say, if they're going to the Middle East, we can't do much about it. That no longer is the case anymore. Compensation is not the only thing that employees look for. It should be always a part of the entire package. If the connection with the employee is only linked to compensation, that's not a connection that we should be looking for in the first place. There is purpose. There has to be alignment with that. There is, the infrastructure is improving, our company systems are improving, the way we function is improving, the technology that is there in the organization or in our shop floor is increasing. So there's very little that we still need to bridge the gap in terms of what they are offered outside or anywhere. So I think we are very much on the right path to get there. So the global competition is there, and we are very much part of that global competition.
Maybe through this forum, I'm just using this because I face a lot of young minds every day. And if you see the number of engineers that come out in all disciplines is huge in India. And this point was made in the first session, I think by Vice Chancellor himself, that are we making the MRO sector attractive to the young students, not only from the way they are going to do the work, like as you are told, from manual to actually using a lot of deep tech, but also not only that, the compensation package and the whole part of it. If the industry is not waking up to this point, then a lot of people, you will not be able to wean out this huge talent put into the MRO sector. The problem earlier was, okay, certification without a degree, now we are trying to solve that. Certification, degree, skill sets available, but you still would require a huge amount of people to move away from the software, so-called software industry, which is been giving these sort of jobs, to actually the core sector. It's just a poser industry out here to see that this is also what we should be very mindful of. Otherwise, we will lose out on the scale that we're talking about.
So I'll add one point in this, and I'm just adding to whatever is said. There are a lot of requirements like, making MRO as an attractive career, retention policies, bringing the vision and all. But we all need to know that there's a study that by 2035, let's look at MRO as a global industry. It is a global industry, aviation is a global industry. By 2035, 40% of current workforce is expected to retire. I'm talking the global numbers. India age is on the side of Indians. We are young country, young people. Whatever we put, I think world doesn't have a solution other than India actually solving the problem of the industry. So personally, if my understanding of whatever I am doing, we all have to be mentally prepared in India that we will be losing the people, and for us the solution is only in the talent building. I'm not saying retention policies are not required. In spite of everything what we will do, because world doesn't have enough talent and there are not enough young people. Many countries, if you see, they don't have people, so they will pay whatever I pay, they will pay more. Somewhere people will like the living style, everything will be there. So as an Indian organization, and I think Ashok was also saying the same in the morning, we have to be prepared that we will lose the talent. We do our best to retain them, to make all the skills impossible, but our success will lie on how good we are in building the talent and keep it ready for our teams. I think that's my different take on that point. In addition to this, I'm not undermining that retention is not required. That is definitely required.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Any additional comments? Maybe?
Maybe this is not the last word, but I wanted to, last in the sense, you will not lose these words, but the last words or last key takeaways, I would say. So we talk about retention. Let's look at software industry. The software industry has 30% retention, but are we not known as the leader in the software? The answer is yes. So as we grow, as we develop more and more skills, more manpower, we will be losing the skills. But I think more than losing people, which is of course hurts the company in the short term. So I think we should be really looking at capabilities, not necessarily the people. If somebody goes only for money, that's fine. But I think from the retention point of view, I would imagine that we would put some exit barriers, enough exit barriers, so that money is not the only thing. There are many different things which we talk about what would attract the future workforce. I think that should help us. But I think the focus is not on individuals, but more on the capabilities as a country that we would create, and also for the individual organizations that we can create, that so that we can absorb all these changes, and these changes would happen probably much more than what we would have anticipated, because that's the process of growth.
That was a really nice statement at the end. Do you want to add something?
I just wanted to say one thing, that we, in last 2 days of our summit, we had been talking about the growth factor. It is certainly a huge market. In fact, we are saying after 2035 we'll be the third largest, but if you ask me, we are today the third largest aviators. In fact, if I put the military machines into the number, we already have 4,000 plus aircraft flying. So, to sustain this, I need to make sure that the workforce is made ready. And as far as the potential is concerned, it is okay. It's a global thing. It's open thing. People are aware as to what I'll get if I go to US, what I'll get if I go to Middle East. So they will go. There's no problem. And in any case, that's happening with my country right from the beginning. The best of the talent has gone out. It's all right. We are still surviving. We are still doing good. So that will be a very small percentage of the best of the expertise going out. But a large number will stay here, and our job should be, as I said, create this environment where people are aware what the aircraft is. They should be aware that it's a good carrier. They should not be thinking that what do I do to become an AME. So right now, in the beginning, we have to outreach to the schools. From there it starts. At the time when somebody is in the 10th standard, he should know that there is an industry called aviation in which there is a large scope. And from there we start building our talent, and there will not be a dearth of talent in India because we have enough people, in spite of their going abroad, in spite of their going and serving their country. So that's my take. We have to focus, make sure that we are ahead, and this body will be sitting here today. Very nice discussion has happened. I'm sure we'll find next year we are better off than what we were off in last year. It's a good thing, it's a good sign. Awesome. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much. That was a very good statement at the end. And maybe just to conclude, there's one question. Do we have time for one question? Yeah, then.
Am I audible? Good afternoon to panel members in the audience. I'm Dr. Ashokan, Dean of Aeronautical and Aerospace Engineering from Hindustan Group of Institutions. AOC is one of the oldest MRO training institute, more than 60 years. This question is put to all who are in the panel members. We are talking about the need. There is a gap between the industry and the manpower available with the skills. We face the problems, including pilots and MRO. But my question is, how much the industry is supporting the institutions in supporting the skills, like software institutions? If you take any software company, they come to the institute and train the students in the institute itself. If you take up the developed countries, the institute and the industries are correlated a lot. What will be the effort taken by the private organization like your organization or MRO organization or the manufacturing organization and also government? Getting even an internship or IB to the any organization, it is a challenge. I request the panel members to give an idea on it, how to go about it to make the India and the developed nation in this shortest time.
I think the industry can take, but I would just say on a very positive note that things are changing, because you see, we are a very new university, right? We just talked about Gati, Shakti. But you see that amount of industry coming in the aviation sector. We today have names like Airbus, Safran, GMR who are actually helping out with exactly the question that you asked. While much more needs to be done, I do agree. But the model is set now because it has now become a quid pro quo, because it becomes win-win for both the same cases. I just wanted to tell you that a good beginning has been made. Maybe the industry people can talk about what they have in mind, because it is definitely going to be helping both ways.
Right, so I think I can talk about ourselves. In our place, we ensure that whatever is practically possible in the infrastructure what we have, we maximize the on-job people for our. So we used to have 30, 40 students once upon a time. Today this number has gone to 120, 130, 140. The only thing when we have this is based on the physical infrastructure you have, how many aircrafts you have maintenance, where you can show the people. But I think at least as a GMR I can tell you that this number is increasing, and today practically whatever is the maximum number we can take, we take this, and mainly only for on-job trainings, because it doesn't bring any revenue or anything. It's purely from the building the talent for the industry, and I'm sure other industries also have certain programs for developing the talent. I'm sure the manufacturing and other MROs should be doing the same.
Thank you. I think there was one additional question. Yeah.
Captain Panel, I'm Subhan Sood. I'm from Naval Aviation. I've served for about 14 years in the Navy with 12 years of experience in naval aviation operations, frontline and MRO. So my question is primarily to Safran and GE Aerospace. Since MRO is primarily a managerial sort of job where activities are time critical, some of them have to be done on war footing. However, after some time, some seniority gained in the ladder, people in the MRO industry require to display a certain level of maturity, especially because there are aviation operations pertaining to safety critical systems, and it's important to make decisions under operational pressure, and they have to maintain technical accountability. So my question is how do companies like GE Aerospace and Safran go about providing leadership component into somebody who's going into the MRO framework? Primarily because I personally believe that the work of somebody who's an MRO is managerial. As you know, aviation is everything is time critical. So how do companies like how do you go about building this capability of leadership within MRO engineering?
I'm not sure I got your question entirely, but I'll try to answer this. Leadership is a journey, and people join with absolutely no experience. That's how the entry level in Safran is. And from day one, they are taught about aviation principles, human factors, all the the safety rules. Everything is taught. That is basics. Anywhere people would learn, and as they continue their journey, they are put through mentoring process. On the job, and also on stakeholder management and every other management practices. And as they grow in the organization and increase their level of responsibilities, they are put through training as well as coaching programs to develop that leadership. They shadow leaders as well, and that's how they pick up leadership qualities as they take up more responsibilities in the future. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think this concludes our session. I would like to sum up. In the last few days, in all the discussions, the biggest constraint right now for the scale up of the MRO environment in India is the lackage of human workforce. And but I'm pretty sure, and this panel showed it, when the educational institutions, the OEMs, the MROs, the airlines, and the military, and maybe some services like consultants, etc., will work together, we will pretty sure bring India forward and ready for the future. So thank you very much for the attention here. Thank you very much for the panelists, and wishing you a nice day.